Okay, bye. Do you want some pets? Do you want some pets? And we're melting. Yep, we just melted. Hi kids, welcome back to another pizza party. I'm Mrs. Pizza. Show me your face. This is Winnie. And somewhere, standing guard, is Cheese. And we are here today because it's 1,000,000 degrees outside. It's so humid that my windows are fogged up, and it's not that cold in here. Where I live right now, we are in Satan's butt crack. It's just hot and moist. Oh, there goes the AC. And so I'm ready for fall. I am so ready. I got my Gremlins t-shirt on. I'm ready to talk about spooky books. I hope you're ready for fall. We're all ready for the break that fall will be for us. So we are here today to talk about some spooky books, but very specifically, a certain kind of spooky books. The ones that affect me the most. I'm going to call it natural horror. I don't know if that's correct, but it's like spooky spores, creepy flowers, sinister mushrooms, murderous fungus, mold and flowers, and that natural, just mold in general freaks me out. Like I can't talk about it without either closing my eyes or my face screwing up or both. It is like I have a visceral reaction to mold. It is really successful for me in horror. And because I make these videos, one, because I want them, but like me being you, I look for these videos, I can't find them, so I make them, but also because I want someone to see this and give me recommendations. I want more of this. This is what works for me, and I want some more. So let's get into it. The first group of books we're going to be talking about are the funky fungus, the spooky mushrooms, the slime molds, and the creepy spores. The first book that we're going to talk about is What Moves the Dead by Kingfisher. This teensy-tiny little book here is the first one in it's a duology so far. I don't know what the author's plans are going forward with this series, but this is a reimagining of The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. In this story, we are following Alex, and they are a soldier who one day receives a letter from a friend that says, "Hey, I'm dying. Come see me." I don't know why I said that so upbeat. Like, hey, I'm about to die. What you doing? They have this friend named Madeline who is on death's door when they receive this letter. So they go to where Madeline is, and things are not right. The Usher estate is in shambles. The walls are gross. There's mold everywhere, and something is just not right with the Ushers. This is a tiny, tiny little book, and it has both creepy wildlife and extremely nasty mold. You can even tell from the cover. We have a rabbit who seems to be turning into a very beautiful mushroom. This I really, really enjoyed. I won't necessarily say it scared me, but it definitely grossed me out. It had a good creep factor, and I really enjoyed it, and it had the spooky mushrooms. The next book we're going to talk about is Mexican Gothic, and this is by Silva Moreno Garcia. This is another Fall of the House of Usher retelling. Is it the Fall of the House of Usher? Now I'm like, am I calling it the wrong thing? I think it is the Fall of the House of Usher. Yeah, it is the Fall of the House of Usher. For a minute, I was like, am I accidentally getting it confused with the Netflix series, which is also based on the Edgar Allan Poe? Actually, the Fall of the House of Usher Netflix series, sorry, there's a hair in my mouth. The Fall of the House of Usher Netflix series is based on a bunch of different Edgar Allan Poe stories. Sidebar, asterisk, if you're interested. Mexican Gothic by Silva Moreno Garcia is another retelling of this story, or reimagining is how I'll put it. In this story, we have Noemi, and she is a socialite. She's a party girl, but she also is intelligent, and there's more to her than her persona of party girlness. But her family and those around her see her as this socialite, party girl, frivolous kind of person. And when she receives a letter, or her father, I believe, receives a letter from a cousin who has recently been married that is ominous and confusing, the father sends Noemi to see what's up, check on her cousin. So she goes to this secluded estate where her cousin is acting strangely. Her cousin's new husband is acting suspiciously. Noemi doesn't know who her allies are, and something is going on with these people. Again, we are in a secluded area with creepy people and creepy mushrooms. I really liked this one. This is very slow moving, but still very sinister. If you need a high octane story, this is not the one for you, but I had a really good time with the atmosphere of this. Noemi as a character, I liked her because she wasn't just taking everybody's word for it. I think the dogs just might have escaped. Hold on. Let me go make sure that they just haven't left. Yep, everybody escaped. I don't know why you want to leave. You have a really nice life. Where are you going? You like it here. The next book we're going to talk about is kind of we're going to call this the bridge between the creepy fungus spores and the creepy plants. And that is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. This is a sci-fi story that was incredibly effective at creeping me the hell out. In the story, you are not given the name of our main character, nor any of the names of the other characters. They are all referred to as their profession. Our biologist is our main character, and the story is presented as the journal of our biologist as they enter Area X. Area X is this place where some sort of phenomenon has been taking place, and it is under government quarantine/control. They are the 12th expedition to go into Area X. They go in to collect information, and Area X is this very uncanny place. There is plant life and wildlife that you would recognize, but it's just tilted a little. It's the kind of, I would like to describe it as if you look at it quickly, you would recognize it, but the longer you look at it, the stranger it is. It's just a little off. It's just a little weird. It's just a little sinister. It's creeping me the hell out is what it is. There's a lot of different plant life /fungus /mold spore in this that is used very effectively to creep you out. And I really, really enjoyed this. If you want your horror to have a little more of a sci-fi leaning, it's quick, it's short, and it was really, really good. The next group of books we're going to talk about are more creepy garden. Creepy flowers, creepy rose garden. The garden got the sinister motives. The first one we're going to talk about is Horrid by Katrina Leno. This is a YA horror novel starring Jane. And Jane is a young woman whose father has recently passed away, and her mother are forced to move across the country to her mother's small hometown, the house she grew up in. This story opens with Jane and her mother driving, and I believe they stop at a bookstore during a rainstorm, and she's looking for Agatha Christie novels. So you know what kind of story it's going to be. If they talk about Agatha Christie novels, there's going to be some underlying mystery. Jane and her mother move into this house, and instantly things feel off. And then when Jane tells fellow classmates and new friends where she's living, everyone immediately gasps. They're like, wait a minute, you live there in that house? So you know something horrible has happened in the past in this house that Jane now lives in. Not only do we have the trauma of losing a parent and our mother having the trauma of having to return back to a home that she doesn't have good memories in, but Jane is in a new place with people she doesn't know, and she's a little bit unreliable as far as narrator goes. There's a lot of time spent around not knowing if Jane is 100% okay. I liked this one just fine. I listened to it as audiobook, and it was really easy to listen to, and it had that creepy garden element to it as well. The next book we're going to talk about is A House with Good Bones, and this is also by Kingfisher. Kingfisher, with their horror novels, tends to focus on natural horror. They love a good spooky mushroom, scary flower, creepy tree. This is the story of Samantha, or Sam, and she is from a small town in South Carolina, and in between breaks between the job that she has where she is it an entomologist? She studies bugs. What is it called when you study bugs? Entomology. I was right. Thank you, brain, for holding on to that information. In between jobs, has a little bit of time, and she's going to go home and spend some time with her mother. Her mother lives in the house that they moved into when she was very young, did most of their growing up in, that used to belong to her grandmother. Now, her grandmother was not a warm and cuddly kind person and was very strict and austere and just not nice. She has passed away, and Mom has been acting a little bit odd recently, so when Sam goes to spend some time in her mother's home, she realizes that the house is not the way it was the last time she was there. Her mother had added lots of colorful artwork and textures and brightness and infused her own personality into the home. But now when she goes, her mother seems really nervous. The walls are painted white and something is off with Mom. And so Sam, she has a very close relationship with her mother. She's trying to figure out what's going on. And there's another creepy garden element to this. There's a garden in the back of the home. This is more like Southern Gothic, but I would honestly describe this as if Gilmore Girls was a horror movie. Kingfisher's really good at friendships and conversations and banter, and so this one has a lot of fast-moving banter and conversations in it as well. I call this horror light. It didn't necessarily really scare me, but I enjoyed the atmosphere that was created, and I like this writer and how they write. The next book we're going to talk about is House of Hollow, and this is by Krystal Sutherland. This author recently just had a new book come out, but this is the only one I've read from them, and this one is all about creepy flowers. See, in this, we have Iris, and years ago when she was a child, her and her two sisters went missing. Sometime later, all three girls were discovered, but they were changed and wouldn't speak about what happened to them after they were returned. They all now have this very otherworldly beauty to them. They have very white blonde hair, very stark features. They seem very otherworldly. Iris, our main character, does not really remember what happened to her in that period of time that she was missing, when suddenly one of the sisters goes missing, and the two sisters, Iris and the middle sister, are now searching for their sister. I believe it was Gray who has gone missing. Gray is kind of a celebrity in her own right, but all of these sisters have this very strange, otherworldly, macabre beauty to them. And in this, there's a lot of imagery involving flowers sprouting from wounds, ants crawling on things. The atmosphere in this is really what made this story for me. This has got a creepy flowers, creepy forest, otherworldly flowers type of feel to it. I liked the mystery of what happened to the sisters and where our sister is as well. This was a very interesting read, as in that it's really the imagery that carries you through beautiful yet creepy, sinister flowers. Also, the cover of this is absolutely gorgeous. And our last book that we're going to talk about is going to be more of our honorable mention, because it's not a creepy rose garden, it's not creepy spores, it's creepy trees. That is The Hollow Places by Kingfisher. This is actually my favorite of all of Kingfisher's horror novels. In this story, we have Kara, who is newly divorced and moves back to a small town in North Carolina to live with her uncle, who runs an oddities shop. So she is helping him run this oddities shop when she discovers a portal tucked away in this shop full of oddities. This again has a very like Gilmore Girls but make it horror feel to it, and that we are in this idyllic small town. There's very quippy and fast moving banter between Kara and her character that is she becomes friends with, that is they work in the coffee shop next door. There's also this scary other world that we are traveling to through these portals in a shop full of oddities. Like, wouldn't that be the place that you would find a portal to another world? In a shop full of like taxidermied crocodiles and things that are claimed to be Fiji mermaids. This was a lot of fun. And the other world that we are traveling to is incredibly creepy and sinister. I really, really liked this. And if you're looking for creepy trees, there's a creepy tree on the cover too. Although that's not the kind of tree that I would imagine when picturing the trees. Anyways, but that, kids, is where we are going to stop this list. I have talked about some spooky natural books, and now it's your job to tell me about some scary flowers, some creepy mushrooms, some frightening ferns, some other natural horror. I want it. Just give it to me. If you had fun hanging out with me and the dogs, please subscribe. I hope you're reading good books out there, wherever you are, and I'll see you next time.